Ever since the introduction of Tomio After, Studio Key has tried to implement some form of gameplay into their visual novels, starting from whatever the hell this is, up until their most recent release of Summer Pocket's Reflection Blue. Within Reflection Blue, there are 2 full campaigns separate from a typical playthrough of a route, one of these involving table tennis, and the other being the campaign that we'll be focusing in on in this video, being a creature capture and battling mode. Considering that I'm a pretty big fan of Pokemon, I figured I'd finally get around to trying out this game mode that took inspirations from it, and see just how much effort it takes to become the so-called King of Islamon. So let's get into it. From the first day that the player has access to interactions on the island map, choosing the first interaction with the character Umi takes us to the option of being given either a wristband or a watch. I choose the watch, and then I'm introduced to a tutorial given by Umi on some of the beginner things for how Islamon works. There are 3 different elements, being earth, air, and water, with there being super effective typings. After catching my starting team, there's a tutorial fight against Umi that I'm scripted to lose, and then I'm thrown out into the game mode of Islamon proper to go catch and then battle it out against other trainers. Every trainer within the game mode has a rank, and from defeating a trainer you take their rank for yourself, with the goal of reaching rank 1 and becoming the so-called King of Islamon. You can fight a maximum of 2 times per day, and at the end of the day are able to place bait in spots around the island to lure creatures there for you to capture upon the morning after. One thing I realized quite quickly into my playthrough was how I could abuse the way this game calculates its RNG for the creature captures. By saving the night before, or at the time of being given the option to place bait, I could reload a save to reroll for stronger mons. Against any of the nameless NPCs, I figured 2 stars would suffice, but to deal with any of the prominent characters from Summer Pockets, I figured getting a team of 3-star and then eventually 4 stars to bolster my team would be necessary to climb the ranks going forward. And while I could easily abuse the capture RNG, the battling RNG would be an entirely different beast. Even after playing this game mode for a good number of hours now, I still can't quite give you guys a good description of how the battle RNG works. Early on, I found that your moves are predetermined, meaning that you can abuse whatever lead your opponent would start with, but at the same time, the turns both you and your opponent crit or miss would happen every single time. But this wasn't a constant, because as you get further into the rankings, opponents start to use different leads upon loading a save. And for one opponent in particular, I felt like they were somehow programmed to always lead with a mon that was super effective against what I had chosen. I had some particularly bad RNG against the character Shiroha, to the point where I felt I couldn't beat her and instead decided to skip over her ranking bracket entirely. I eventually fell into a rhythm of resetting for better mons at night, then during the day climbing the ranks up until a rematch against Umi at rank 8, and upon beating her, from now going forward I could only climb 1 rank at a time until I reached the top. The game saves your capture progress despite not actually keeping them in your party, so by the time you get around to the higher ranks, there's a good possibility you've unlocked some higher rank spots to place bait at. There are some special requirements for the highest bait spots, but at least for now, I'll say some require clearing character routes, so starting the challenge of Islamon is probably something you're not expected to do until you've already finished reading the VN to a good amount, if not in its entirety. Assuming you've unlocked some of the 4-star bait spots by this point, this is when you can start to find some of the more unique Islamon. You can catch literal characters from the story of Summer Pockets within this game mode, such as Tenzen. A more notable mon that is going to be one of the hard carries for the team going forward is Inari. They're a 4-star Earth attribute Islamon that doesn't have any awkward buffs or debuffs against any other trainers, like you'd probably see from Tenzen whenever you go against a female opponent. There's some fun and quirky dialogue throughout the Islamon campaign, with one example being in the fight against Owl, where since I had both Tenzen and Inari in my team, I got a unique conversation for both mid-fight. This is also where you can see how poorly a character like Tenzen, despite being 4 stars, ends up performing in these latter fights. After climbing up to rank 2, I now am against Shiroha's grandfather, who holds the top rank. After so many resets and so much RNG, I was finally here. But I ended up being easily defeated by his team of 5-star mons. And that takes us to a key point of information regarding this run, where you only have a certain amount of days to clear the Islamon challenge before common route ends and you get pulled into a character route, taking away your ability to continue with the challenge. I'll spare you guys of the repetition here, but on my second go at it, there's a few things that change. All the bait spots you've unlocked stay on following playthroughs, along with the bait itself. Also, when fighting Umi for the tutorial, Since you have access to potential 4 stars out of the gate, it's possible to beat her and shoot straight up to rank 10, skipping a lot of the earlier grind. On my second run of the challenge, I started to reference a guide on Islamon that I'll have linked in the video's description. I had decided that to have access to some of the legendary 5-star mods myself, I'd do a sequence of visits to the shrine during common route in order to later get access to a new location to place bait, as well as a special bait that would guarantee a legendary down the line. That bait being a pair of panties. Yeah, after completing all shrine visits and donating the maximum amount whenever given that option, the winds of fate bring with them a fresh pair of laundry as a reward for your efforts. This, upon use at the pawn spot, has a guaranteed recruit of one of the few legendary mons in this mode. Going forward from that, I've now climbed back up and can now re-challenge the number 1 rank to a battle. After a back and forth fight, I surprisingly come out on top and have claimed the title of King of Islamon. But that's still not where this video ends, because upon defeat, Shira's grandfather tells us about the Princess of Islamon, someone that he himself has never been able to defeat in a battle. And from all my antics at the shrine, I yet again have run out of time before the end of common round. So without ever even getting the chance to take on this so-called princess, we go again for run number 3 of this challenge. Alright, so we're back. Figured I'd save you guys even more of the grind to get back to this point. We go ahead and look at the team. I did do grinding to get, I think not even 2, but 3 of the 5 potential 5-star legendary mons available within Summer Pockets. I'm assuming that this is going to be the real final battle of this game mode that I have not seen any sort of information on, because the guide that I was following is specifically for the base version of Summer Pockets. So I'm assuming that this is a battle that was added in specifically for Reflection Blue, despite the fact that I did farm for these legendaries. I'll just go ahead and show it. Inari ended up just soloing the previous final boss, and I have no idea how, what the percentage is on that, because it's kind of crazy. But let's go ahead and just dive in against rank 1 Princess of Islamon.
Mada, この島で私の前に立つ人がいたなんて。でも、初めて見る顔。いえ、関係ないですね。ファイターである限り、やるべきことは同じ。あなたは、そう、高原ハイリー。聞いている、アオちゃんに、羨ましいことをした人。悔いてください、あなたという存在を。
Alright, so I'm just gonna start with the team. She has 5-star versions of characters, and I don't even think you, I don't know, maybe you could get Nomiki. I didn't run into her at any point. She's got a stable team. I want to say we'll just start with Inari. And of course, we're going to get weakness. Okay. Duly noted. Okay. You know, honestly, at this point, this might be the point where I have a montage. Very cool.
敵は目の前に身の程を知ることで
At the point where I am just gonna control
負けるわ
skill.
けにはいきません。
We are gonna get wiped,
眠り
but they might have like specifically lowered the rate that you can crit.
さ
Deck edit, swap you out for water, confirm, back, boom, okay.
あ、私使え
Right? I'm literally not able to because the RNG is not on my side. I have not been able to crit and I'm just getting absolutely blasted. So there you go.
終わりです。敵は目の前に身の程を知ることで私に近づくから
Cool. Alright. You have to be able to you have to win with 2 mods in this fight, which is like the thing that irritates me a little bit.
さあ、使いなさい。敵は目の前に身の程を知ることで私に近づかないと負けるわけにはいきません。
That was somewhat close, I will say. That was somewhat close. We're just gonna run it the final day, and then this is probably gonna be the final instance. Oh wait, no. Okay, there we go. So GG. So yeah, I want to say that is going to be a somewhat anticlimactic end to the video. I was able to become the king of Islamon. However, despite the fact that I was able to become the king of Islamon, I was not able to become the princess of Islamon. So yeah, that was a pretty anticlimactic end to my run of the Islamon challenge in Summer Pockets Reflection Blue. I'm honestly unsure like how feasible it is to actually beat it. I apologize if this video wasn't as fully like fleshed out as what one might expect to see from a video covering the Islamon challenge within Summer Pockets and the gameplay surrounding it. Despite the fact that I wasn't able to beat the final boss and see what exactly happens. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the different style that this video ended up taking. I've been waiting. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.
終わりです。あなたにとってはひと夏の遊びかもしれません。けれど、私にとっては守るべき世界。遊びなんかじゃない。眠りなさい。目覚めればすべて忘れている。私という存在も。感受しなさい。ただただ楽しいだけの夏を。おやすみなさい。高原ハイリー、夢のまにまに。